Good morning. Thank you for being here for the Summit Speaker Series. My name is India Nielsen Barfus. I'm a program manager in the Office of Outdoor Recreation, and welcome to our first Summit Speaker Series of 2021. We are very excited to hear from today's speakers from all over the state. Before we get into that, of course, a couple housekeeping items. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that at this point. So a couple things. We are going to keep everybody on mute because we record this and post it on our YouTube later on. We want to preserve the audio as best as possible. So when you do have questions, feel free to type them into the chat. This slide should show you how to do that if you're unfamiliar with the Google Meet software. You can put questions into the chat at any point during the presentation if you have questions, and then we will get to all of those toward the end. And we will also be offering an opportunity drawing prize to the folks who engage in the chat. It's going to be from a cool outdoorsy company, so make sure to engage in the chat if you want to be eligible for that opportunity drawing. And lastly, if you could go to the next slide, Patrick, thank you. We also are excited to announce this new library of resources and research at this URL on the slide. It is something that I send out after the meeting as well, so if you'd like to visit it now, great, but do keep in mind that we are going to be sending that out along with the recording and any other resources that the panelists have today. So stay tuned for all that information. Stay tuned for the Q&A formally beginning around 9:15 a.m. Put questions into the chat at any point. And with that, I am actually done with housekeeping, and I want to go ahead and turn the time over to our director, Pitt Gruey, to introduce today's speakers.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's good to see how many people are tuning into this and for this great conversation. So welcome on this Friday morning. I want to introduce who our panelists are today. We have a really great set of people here from all over the state of Utah and from different backgrounds and agencies that can really help contribute to this conversation and show the real wealth and value of outdoor recreation to the economy here in Utah. So first, our panelists, we have Doug and Camie Stilson. They were born and raised in Emery County, home to Joe's Valley, Joe's Valley Reservoir and Joe's Valley Bouldering area, and so many other great outdoor recreation amenities down there in Emery County. They were wanting to fill a need they saw in the community, and with lots of community feedback, they opened Cup of Joe's, a coffee shop, in March of 2017. Not sure what to expect. Doug and Camie opened their little shop right out of their home. They have 6 kids between the two of them, and Dalton, their oldest, and his special needs son. He is one of the reasons they started Cup of Joe's, and so Camie could be home with him. Sometimes you'll see Dalton smiling and poking his head through the window and wave to you if you stop by the shop. Doug and Camie feel so blessed for all the support they've been getting and look forward to expanding Cup of Joe's into a bigger building in the near future. The Stilsons love serving their community and meeting the many friendly and wonderful people from all over the world that stop by as they come to visit, the great things in Emery County. They strive hard to make everyone's experience the best it can possibly be and are dedicated to making sure everyone's drink is made fresh and unrivaled in taste. So they just want to give a big thank you as well for everyone's support and anybody that's ever stopped by the shop as they have headed down there to Joe's Valley or the Swell or anywhere nearby. Our next panelist, we have Stephanie Pack, and Stephanie came to EDCUtah from Silicon Slopes, where she was working with Qualtrics. She joined the fast-growing tech unicorn after she earned a degree in political science and Spanish from Utah State University, and she was originally on track to go into education, but a brief internship in rural Peru teaching business classes to locals instilled in her a passion for business development and entrepreneurship. She has started a business and co-founded another, but chooses to focus on helping other businesses thrive. She's a florist, blogger, musician, artist, outdoor enthusiast, hobbyist, who's always looking for new opportunities, and I must say, just a great person to talk to if you ever just want to have a really engaged, fun conversation. So welcome, Stephanie. Next, we have Marin Christensen. Marin is a research associate at the University of Utah's Gardner Policy Institute, and her focus is community-based research through survey and qualitative mediums. So her research has touched on women in the economy, immigrants and refugees, longitudinal business leader sentiment, and rural economic development. She is currently pursuing her PhD in social policy to focus on childcare solutions. Thanks for being with us, Marin. And then last we have Kelly Stowell. He's the executive director of the Center for Education, Business, and the Arts, headquartered in Kanab, Utah, and where he is responsible for advancing economic development, outdoor recreation, and film commission initiatives in Camie County. Stowell has served as the Kanab Area Chamber of Commerce president-elect, as well as on the Western States Art Federation State of Utah Division of Arts and Museums board, and then also in the State of Utah Film Advisory Board, the Mormon Pioneer National Heritage Area, Highway 89 Alliance, Kane County Recreation Transportation Special Service District, and Kane County Resource Development Committee. Basically, Kelly has served on every committee possible in Kane County and is a huge contributor to everything that's going on down there. He grew up on a farm in Parowan and is a constant adventure seeker and avid outdoorsman. He can be found fly fishing on secluded trout streams in the summer and in the high mountains on his snowboard traversing the famous Utah Powder all winter long. So welcome to Kelly as well for being here. So let's jump right in and learn from these experts and these great panelists today. Let's start with a current picture of outdoor recreation and how that can affect jobs and our workforce in Utah. So I'm going to go to Marin first, and you've worked on research that tries to understand the importance of Utah's outdoors to the fastest growing businesses in Utah, and more recently to Utah's tech sector employees. So what can you tell us about these studies and what you're finding about the effects of outdoor recreation on some of these different sectors?
Not to ruin the surprise, but outdoor rec and access to lands are very important. We've done 2 surveys now to determine the importance of Utah's outdoors on particular populations that are like really important in helping our economy hum. And when I say outdoors, we ask the question to mean like largely outdoor recreation and access to wilderness and public lands. So I just shortened a little bit. So the first survey focused on Utah's fastest growing businesses. So we reached out to business leaders like the CEOs, and the latest is on tech sector employees. That should be released next week. We really tried to get it ready for this panel. Starting with the businesses, they all believed, 100% believed, Utah's outdoors and outdoor recreation are essential to Utah's quality of life. Almost all believe it is essential to Utah's economy and helps attract high-quality employees and good jobs to Utah. Utah's outdoors was also the second and third reason they even moved their business here. So that's kind of relevant when I get into the employees' sentiment. And then only second to the ability to attract and retain their workforce. So the ability to attract and retain their workforce, like the #1 reason, and then the second and third reason, outdoor rec and access to our wilderness. But when we personalized the question about their own business's ability to attract and retain employees, the outdoors was the least chosen option out of like six different options. And this is interesting because it was the opposite of what we heard from our tech sector employees. And I kind of want to make a distinction here that we're not comparing tech sector businesses to tech sector employees. We're comparing the fastest growing businesses, but remember the tech sector is the fastest growing industry. So it's kind of okay to compare these 2 stories. Our new survey of over 250 tech sector employees said that Utah's outdoor recreation and access to wilderness was not only the main recruitment tool used to attract them here, it was also the most important factor to them moving here. So if any employers are on the line, according to these high-skilled employees, Utah's outdoors matters in their decision to relocate to join your company. It's also important to understand that this new report highlights the importance of the outdoors, not only for these transplants, but also natives as well. So the natives that have moved away and came back to Utah cited the outdoors as the most important factor in their decision to do so. It was 82% versus 76% for family. And obviously, like, it's possible not everyone had family here or whatever. But it also was 82% versus 76% of career opportunities. So just a really crucial factor in people's decisions to move here and to stay here. So obviously you're seeing a trend here. I want to kind of go into what we heard from their own mouths. Like, we asked an open-ended question to get some comments. We asked transplants and natives alike why Utah's outdoors are important to them. And all of the comments will be in the report, and you'll find them to be so thoughtful. And I admit some of them got me kind of emotional. I thought they were just really beautiful sentiment. There's kind of almost a reverence behind it all. And the gist of them were, you know, it makes life worth living. It helps me stay sane. It's why I stay. And really crucial to these tech employees in particular is the easy way in which they can get time away from screens. And I think the key word there is easy. So for some, trails are right in their backyards, or they can hit a slope before work. And transplants also mentioned all the different activities they have tried for the first time since moving here. So they're really getting utilized. And in all, like, for the entire sample, 60% are out enjoying Utah's outdoors once a week or more, which I thought was pretty incredible. So I'm gonna stop, but just want to end by saying, you know, what does this mean for recruiting Utah's future workforce? According to these high-skilled employees from the fastest growing industry, access to varied outdoor recreation is the main reason they moved here, you know, the top reason they moved here out of other options given. And it's just a major component to attracting talent. And don't discount also the ability of the outdoors to influence native Utahns to build their skills and stay here. So it's an important consideration when comparing us to other states. Like, even if people may not like Utah's cultural reputation, the outdoors still has sway and puts us over the edge. And one business owner said from the business survey in 2018, without the outdoors, we're no North Dakota or Mississippi. So that's,
Marin, that's fascinating. That you know, stat that, you know, 60% of these people are using it once a week or more. You know, getting outside is pretty incredible. I wonder, you know, and you maybe you didn't collect this data, but is there any information on, you know, how active people are? I guess, yeah, have they been, are all these people longtime outdoor recreation users, or are some of them moving here, getting recruited and being converted to outdoor recreation, or come here because they want to start, you know, recreating or being an outside person? Is there any way to kind of gauge that?
we didn't ask that question, but I think we can assume that if it was an important factor to them, that they probably were already quite outdoorsy to begin with. But we did ask if their activity had changed since COVID, because that was another component. Just how important the outdoors became to all of us, because there was nothing else to do. And in some cases, yeah, they're enjoying it more often. But I think you'll see also when you read the comments, there definitely were people that it wasn't necessarily a major component, but it's become a huge part of their lives. So sure, like, of course, if that recruitment worked on them, it was probably already important to them in the first place. But for sure, a lot of them are enjoying activities more. And I think it was like 94% of our respondents have tried a new activity since moving here, a different recreation activity. So at least they're gaining their skills and gaining their enjoyment of it.
Great, thanks, Marin. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to dig into this report and see more of that data that you collected. This is incredible, and it's so helpful to our office and so helpful to everybody across the state to see the impacts and the decision making that comes from the impact of outdoor recreation for a lot of these companies and employees and everything else. So thanks so much. Next, we're gonna shift a little bit. So from the the hustle and bustle of the Wasatch Front and the tech sector and the jobs here, we're gonna jump down to Emery County. And Doug, I want you to tell us about your business a little bit more, and perhaps some of the impacts that you've seen because of the influx of people, recreating down in Emery County.
Okay, thanks, Pitt. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So to give everybody just a little bit of background about why we did what we did, usually when people hear that we started a coffee shop out of our house, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. How do you do it? Why did you do it? So a couple reasons why we did it. And one of the reasons you mentioned, Pitt, was my wife. We've been married about 6 years, and her oldest son, he's special needs. His name's Dalton, and he might poke his head in here and say hi to everybody. But down here in Emery County, if you've ever been down here, it's pretty rural. There's not a lot of opportunity for employment. It's pretty limited here. And so Dalton attends an adult program in Price, Utah. So he's going to school, day. And so he's got that schedule of getting on the bus, getting off the bus, being off for Christmas vacation and summer vacation and all that. And we were trying to find something that Camie could, do for employment that was flexible enough to be around Dalton's school schedule. So that was part of it. The other part of it was the company I was working for. I was really good friends with the COO, and he was big into climbing and big into bouldering. And he introduced us to a few other friends of his who had moved from places like Iowa, California to our area, and were able to find employment. And they moved here specifically because they wanted to be close to Joe's Valley bouldering. And so through that connection, we just talked with them, and others who would come to the community to go bouldering would see them at the one gas station here, and would just, we were interested in people and why they were here and where they were coming from. And it was always climbing at Joe's Valley, bouldering at Joe's Valley. And one of the questions, probably the most asked question, was where can we get a cup of, good cup of coffee or a latte or a Americano or something? And I always tell them, well, you got to go to Price, 30 miles away, and that's too far of a drive. So after a while of just talking about the needs of the climbers in the area, we kind of got this crazy idea that, well, why don't we just do it out of our house, and we'll see if it works. And with Dalton's school schedule and with our understanding at the time that bouldering was seasonal, which we thought at the time was more seasonal than what it is, we didn't have a lot of resources to put into it. So we just come up with the idea that we're going to take this front room of our house, we're going to section it off, we're going to create an atmosphere that's warm and inviting. When you walk through the front door, you're not going to come sit down at my kitchen table and have a cup of coffee with me. You're going to come into a place that feels like it's a little coffee shop, and hopefully we can provide you with, a good beverage and something that you need. And so we literally sectioned off our house. I cut a hole in the middle of our wall that goes right into our kitchen, and you come up to that and order. And we just kind of jumped in head first, not really knowing what to expect. But those are the two main reasons why we did it. And going on 5 years later, we're still out of our house. And part of that has been, it's had to grow a little bit. We didn't have a lot of money to put into advertising and marketing. So it's been kind of word of mouth, organically growing year after year. The impact from outdoor recreation in Utah, which would include, climbing and bouldering, is the impact on our business has been growing every single year. As more people visit the swell, like Pitt mentioned, or as they come down and they go climbing or they go kayaking on, the San Rafael River, whatever it is they're doing, we'll get reports from Google that shows how many times, coffee, Joe's Valley, lattes, the swell is Googled, and, we obviously pop up. And so it's been growing year after year after year, our customer base. And it's really interesting. One thing that we didn't know was so prevalent was how many people from all over the world come to our little neck of the woods. We do have the Swell, if anybody's familiar with that. It's huge, it's vast, there's so many things you can do out there. You can go hiking, you can go biking, you can camp. You've got the mountains, you got the lakes and the reservoirs. So there's a lot of things you can do for outdoor recreation. We put a map on our wall in the coffee shop there. It's a map of the world so people can put a pin from wherever they're coming from. And we have over 70 countries that have a pin in it. So we think that's pretty cool. A lot of people, and it's not all climbers. There's geologists that come from South Africa and from Great Britain that come to study the rock formations out on the Swell. And so we've been able to meet a lot of really great people. And so it's impacting us to the point now that next year we will be able to move this out of our house and put it into its own little building and get a drive-up window and do a few more things that add some convenience in that for those who come into our shop. But the impact to the community as well is growing. It obviously gave us the idea to start this little coffee shop. There's others who are doing little Airbnbs, little rental businesses. And so as people continue to come and visit our area to recreate, there are little opportunities popping up here and there. And that's going to grow as outdoor recreation in Utah grows as well. And so I think there's a lot more opportunity for that as well. That's pretty much a good summary of what we did and why we did it and how it's impacted us.
Doug, I think my favorite, part of the story of Cup of Joe's and the history of what you've done there, right, is you were able to find a need of these new visitors and find an economic development opportunity for you and your family and everything else, but by maintaining still the thing that makes Emery County so great, that small town feel, people literally sitting down in the front of your house and having a cup of coffee and it's not a Starbucks, or anything like that. It's the Emery County feel. It's that, what makes rural Utah so great. It's what makes that area so great and why people continue to come and visit and be there. One more question for you before we move on to the next panelist, but do you have a recommendation to other local businesses? Obviously, there's a lot of communities like Orangeville, or they're gateway communities to the outdoors across the state. Do you have recommendations to small businesses or people thinking about starting a small business of how to potentially grow their business? Luckily, you over the last few years have grown, and you're talking about moving into a bigger space, and I've heard rumors that you can not only just get a cup of coffee at your place, but you've expanded into renting some climbing gear or crash pads, or and really serving your customers best. Any recommendations for another small business that's trying to do something similar, or really cater to the outdoor rec crowd?
Yeah. So I'll tie what you just asked me into. It looks like a comment that was made by Paul. I'm going to butcher your last name, Jackus. But yeah, so we've expanded a little bit, our drink menu. We do have a community here that's a large LDS-based community as well. So we've had to kind of tailor our menu to those who drink coffee and those who don't. And so a lot of our drinks don't come with coffee unless you ask for it, or a shot of espresso or 4 shots of espresso, whatever you want. You can put it in, and that's at no charge. We just add it to your drink if you want it, so you can get that as well. And then, yeah, we actually have expanded a little bit. We rent crash pads. We sell climbing gear and chalk and, bags and a few other things like that. And we're going to expand that rental business even bigger over the next year or two to other areas outside of climbing. So that is one thing that we are doing that has impacted us as well. And to answer your question, and tie it into what Paul, mentioned in the comments, there is a lot of money that is spent, up north or down in St. George or in Colorado, wherever they're coming from, because it's a small area. There's not a lot of businesses here. There's not a lot of places to go out and spend your money because it's such a small community. And so people typically will get their trash pad rental, or they'll get, their groceries or something else and bring it to the county. And that's partially because they don't know what's here. They're coming here for the first time. They don't know if they can get what they need here, so they come prepared. And I think that as they come here, for the first time and then revisit, they're seeing that for the most part, this little community can fulfill the needs that they have, as far as groceries or rentals or a place to stay. But my recommendation would be start small. That would be my main recommendation. That's what we did. We started small. We started out of our house. We didn't go into it several $100,000. We didn't know if it would work, and so that was part of why we started small, but we also didn't have the resources to start big. But it is a seasonal, area. It's a recreational area, so people are coming, whether it's the fall or the spring or the summer, or to go ice climbing up by Joe's Valley in the wintertime. There is that seasonal aspect to it. So, unless you got a ton of money to dump into something and be able to, bridge the ups and downs as they come seasonally, I would start small and then grow your business slowly year after year, so that you can, take the hits and, when the season drops off a little bit, and be able to grow your business over time that way. That would probably be my biggest recommendation.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. And just to go along with something you mentioned, right, I'm going to give a plug here of a recommendation of, whenever you are planning a trip down to some of these communities in Utah, I've really changed my attitude in the sense of, loading up my truck or my car with everything I need here in Salt Lake, and then driving down there to say, you know what, no, I'm heading to Boulder Mountain. I'm going to stop in Loa and go to the grocery store and buy some supplies I need there. Or, if I'm going to Canyonlands or something, I make sure that I do support the businesses, stop and get lunch in Moab, get the extra, resources or supplies that I need. Just because it is, even though my dollars aren't going to make a huge difference, that, it adds up. And if more people are doing this, again, same, instead of bringing my own coffee, I stop and get a cup at your house in the morning, and on my way to Joe's Valley or something like that. So, all of these things add up, and I think it make a difference in kind of changing our habits and how we do this to support these businesses. Thanks, Doug, for all your comments. We're going to jump now to Kelly down in Kane County, which obviously, Kane County has some of the most breathtaking landscapes and world-class outdoor recreation, whether it's state parks, all the open space down there and places to explore. There's so much going on down near Kanab and that east side of Zion and everything else. So how do you use the access to outdoor recreation in your role as an economic developer? And what types of economic effects are you seeing to your community, to Kanab, to the other, other towns of other cities of Kane County because of outdoor recreation? Uh-oh, Kelly, we can't hear you. Nothing. I see your mouth moving, but nothing, no audio.
And if we need to, Kelly, if you need to get out and get back into the meeting, we can go ahead and chat to Stephanie if we need to and see if that kind of resets it. I'm not sure.
Yep, Kelly, we'll give you a second to think about that question and figure out that, and we'll jump to Stephanie real quick. So, Stephanie, working with EDCUtah, what are you seeing? EDCUtah is responsible for a lot of business recruitment and site selection activities for businesses of all sectors and things across the state. You all do a really great job at getting valuable information to companies that are looking at expanding, getting them the resources they need. Everything else comes along with that. So when companies are considering locating or expanding in Utah, how does access to outdoor recreation affect that? And what are you hearing from these companies that are looking at Utah when they're trying to figure out what's best for them?
EDCUtah is really fortunate to be able to work in a statewide capacity. We work really heavily on the Wasatch Front, but also in our rural communities as well. And it's really interesting to see how much activity we're seeing from a business recruitment standpoint. There's a lot of companies from every sector, every industry that are coming to look at Utah. And one of the biggest reasons that is happening is because of the outdoor assets, just the quality of life that exists there. Internally, we've been working on a business recruitment and retention survey, and we like to understand, the sentiment and the feedback from our business leaders here in the community. Our top employers. What do they think about doing business in Utah? What can the state be doing better and differently to help support the businesses that are already here? And one of the biggest things they're saying is, we leverage the outdoor recreation assets as a recruitment tool. It's a big reason why a lot of these companies came to Utah, why they started here. We're seeing a lot of Utah transplants that left the state looking to come back, looking to bring their businesses back, looking to expand their businesses here. A lot of CEOs have homes in Park City. Why? Because of the resorts there, because of the recreation assets there. So, it's really prevalent. We have a great reputation for that all across the U.S. And, to Marin's point, I think that reputation supersedes some of the misconceptions, some of the, cultural aspects that people point to when they talk about Utah. I think for a long time, the rhetoric was, oh, Utah doesn't have, a nightlife. It doesn't have a night scene. And that's, that's something that, is important to our employees. Well, a lot of that sentiment has shifted. They don't necessarily care as much for the night scene as long as they can hit a trail, as long as they can get their season passes, and as long as they can get outside. And so it's been really interesting to see that play into our recruitment tools. We've stayed really busy in that. There's a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot of businesses that are looking to come here, and outdoor recreation is a big part of that.
Thanks, Stephanie. I know you work directly with outdoor companies that are looking to come here as well, or in the outdoor, the outdoor sector, as well as a few other sectors and things. But specifically, I'm curious because, again, I come from the outdoor industry. I've worked in it for many years, and what is it they're looking for when they come to Utah, right? If they're a shoe company or a backpack company or something like that, or even OHV and fishing and hunting, things like that, obviously we know that the outdoors is important to them, but is there anything specific? Is it quick access? Is it more open space? Is it, the type of land, national parks, national forests? Is there anything specific they kind of look for when they're looking at Utah?
Absolutely. The outdoor product industry is a key industry in the state. That is an industry that the state is very keen on, very focused on, and we have a very strong industry here in Utah. And so from a recruitment standpoint, we try to focus our efforts really heavily in that industry, supporting the businesses that are here, as well as recruiting other businesses to come here. And the biggest thing those businesses look for are going to be access to workforce. And workforce is one of the biggest assets that Utah has, specifically in the outdoor industry. We have over 1,000% labor density for manufacturing, specifically in the outdoor product space, which is higher than any state in the country. And so if you are an outdoor product manufacturer, Utah is the place to be. That's where you're going to find workforce that not only has expertise and experience in manufacturing, but also in outdoor product manufacturing. So to have that skill set, to have the employment already here, is huge for employers that are looking to come. A lot of employers would definitely settle for employment that has experience in other verticals, but the fact that we can provide them workforce and employees that have experience in the outdoor product industry is huge. And so Utah really, and another thing that those companies look for is access to their customers, and access to product training and product development areas and grounds where they can actually go out and test their product. And so, Utah has millions and millions of miles of trail that these outdoor brands can go out and test the durability of their products, test the livability of their products. They have access to the end user, and can really focus heavily on that product development. And so, they need to be where the outdoors are. They need to be where their customers are. They need to be where their retailers are, so they can actually get their products into those hands. One of the biggest trends that I'm seeing in talking to outdoor product companies is, they are experiencing huge growth during the pandemic, which is a really, really huge relief for everybody, especially those first few months of the pandemic were really, really difficult. Some of the opportunities and some of the experiences that they had were really scary at the beginning, but because of this surge of outdoor recreation, everyone is out, everyone is going on a trail, everyone is spending more time outdoors. Their customer base is growing, and it's growing really rapidly. And so that bodes really well for the industry. They are, just inundated with new customers, and they anticipate those customers are going to stick around. Those customers are going to keep coming back. And so, the outdoor product industry specifically is looking really positively right now. And that bodes well for the industry here in the state. I think there's some opportunities for the industry to become more strengthened, to become more unified, and there's some opportunities for us to help support that industry a little bit more as a state, especially as it grows. But we're really excited and really enthused about the opportunities that are coming.
Great, thanks, Stephanie, and thanks for outlining all of that. Kelly, let's test you again. Got nothing. Shoot.
He left. I'll turn myself off and give him a quick call here.
Okay, we'll jump into some of the questions and maybe address this. Thank you, everybody. The chat has been just firing. This is great. I'm loving to see all this engagement. Loving to see everybody talking and interacting here. It's the whole purpose of these webinars. So,
am I back?
Kelly, we got you.
Got me. All right.
All right.
You don't even know. I said a whole bunch of really inspiring things, and in the no audience.
We're really happy to have you. Let me ask you this question again and let you run with it. But obviously, as a economic developer in Kane County, and your role there. You know, how do you use access to the outdoor recreation in your role, and then you know, what types of economic effects are you seeing to your area of Utah, and you know, how is outdoor recreation affecting that in your community?
Sure, thank you. It's great to be here, and it's great to be heard. So I really appreciate it, and really appreciate the info that the other panelists have shared. It really fortifies what we're doing is working, and it's a good thing. And you know, access and product is everything. And if we can provide that access, you know, the people come, and part of our strategy is just to make a better community, just build a better community, make a place where people want to live, where people want to be. And a big part of that is quality of life and having things to do, right? And we have a lot of visitors that come here to experience the vast landscapes of our area, but access can be daunting. So it's really important that we provide access through trails and other safe means, and really we want to develop you know, really easily accessible, right off the road, well-traveled routes into the landscape to make them legible and accessible, and that way we transfer the scenic into the experience. And you know, we want to be known as the Silicon Sands. So you got the Silicon Valley and Silicon Slopes, and we want to be known as the Silicon Sands, and we're seeing it happen where these grains of sand flow into the community, and they contribute to the overall dune, but they don't take away from it. And it's what I've been calling, we should focus on the 1% of the visitors that come to the area that would potentially move here and bring their business. But another part of our strategy, and really appreciate the Cup of Joe's story, and there are many, many others just like it, of entrepreneurs who are taking the risks, who are opening the businesses, and just going out and making it happen. And in economic development, we really try to support those entrepreneurs. And like I said, it works. And you know, part of this is we couldn't do it without the state of Utah and support from Office of Outdoor Recreation and the state legislature and all the other players and developing the outdoor recreation grant programs. It's huge. We've been able to leverage those funds and get a lot of new product built. And we've developed a great model for getting things done. We have a lot of great partners. Over 90% of Kane County is owned by some kind of governmental entity. Our friends with our federal agencies and state agencies and all the rec planners with the various entities. So we really appreciate them and all the good work that we have been able to accomplish and get done. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it. And thanks for all the hard work you do down there in the Kanab area in Kane County, and to see that area just grow and flourish is fantastic. We're going to jump into a few questions, and you know, some of these will apply. I want to really open this up to everybody to answer, all of our panelists, but Flint Timmons from the Office of Tourism, actually, he puts a great question out here, and I want to adjust a little bit. He says, what state and local economic development incentives exist for small recreation-focused businesses, and what incentives would be helpful in the future? So, you know, I know in the past, and Stephanie's worked in this, right, in helping incentives for big companies and big businesses that are coming here. I know with Governor Cox, he has a real focus on, you know, shifting that to help development in rural and small businesses and things like that, and helping those companies. So if you know of any existing right now, great, we can talk about it. But if not, I want to hear some feedback. What would be helpful for small businesses across Utah as the recommendations from Doug came, start small and grow it and take your time and do this well. What kind of incentives or initiatives, from the state, from the county level, will help these businesses to get off the ground and be successful moving forward? Who wants to take that?
I can kick it off by just providing a little overview of what the state offers right now in terms of incentives for businesses. The state has worked really hard on particularly developing the incentive programs in rural Utah. And so there's a lot of opportunities, and for any rural Utah business, they should definitely be looking into some of these incentive opportunities because I think there's a lot of options and a lot of support that the state can provide, especially for these gateway communities. As Pitt mentioned, with our new governor and his new administration, a focus on rural Utah is definitely forthcoming, especially in terms of building the economies in those areas. And so keep an eye on how things change and how things develop, particularly with those incentives, because I think it's going to skew really heavily towards rural and towards those gateway communities and opportunities there. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, but would love to definitely hear from Doug and Kelly on what you guys are hoping to see in terms of how those incentives should look and what would be the most helpful for your areas.
Sure. And there's a number of incentives provided by the state and local governments, depending on where you live. If you're in a rural area like Kane County, you qualify for a number of other incentives and programs. And there's a ton of great resources out there. We have the business resource centers, small business development center. I mean, we could name off a whole list. The legislature passed the Rural County Grant Program, which is an effort to help directly small businesses. There are enterprise zone tax incentives, rural online initiative, targeted business tax credits, tons of them, including the other ones that GoEd administers. So there's a ton of resources, and we really hope the businesses are taking advantage of it. And reach out to your economic development directors in your county, small business development center, or business resource center, like I said.
Yeah, I agree with Kelly. Pretty much said everything that I was thinking. So we took advantage of a few of those, incentives and grants that helped us with signage and getting our business started. So that's huge. In addition to starting small, reach out to your economic development committee or director and find out what programs there are that can aid you and help you in starting your business. They helped us out a ton. But yeah, everything Kelly said was exactly what I was thinking.
We'd love to see businesses like yours expand and grow and take the next step and take the risk to move from a home-based business into a commercial space. And so I think it's great. It's a great success story, and there are many others like it. And we'd love to hear about it. And there's many more to come.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah, everybody's been so supportive and so kind, and we're glad that we are able to grow. We didn't know if we would, but it's going to be a good move, and so just take advantage of everything that you can as far as what the county, and the city will do for you. Our little town of Orangeville, they were amazing. They, as far as anything with, fire codes or anything like that, they were so willing to work with us and help us because they wanted to see a business start. They wanted to see that be successful and grow. So in our area, they've been extremely helpful and willing to see us succeed and get started and grow. So, we appreciate that.
Thanks, Kelly and Doug. Appreciate your feedback on that. I'm reading through these questions and lots of good ones here. A lot of them are getting answered in chat, so we don't need to address them in too much. But the last thing I want to bring up with the group here is a lot of times we see the business is obviously concentrating into the hot spots, these gateway communities. I think that's why there's a really unique story with Cup of Joe's, is because it's not Moab or it's not St. George, but we're seeing success in these communities that's maybe a little bit off the radar for a lot of people, or at least the big tourism pushes and visitor pushes and things like that. So as a state, how can we help support the spreading out of these businesses across the state that have a little bit more equal access to opportunities, access to help them grow? Obviously, we don't want to all be concentrated in the same area. We want to have people spread out and share the wealth of the resources of outdoor recreation and businesses to support it all over the place. So any recommendations from any of you of how, at a state level, I know we have some state leaders here on the call and a lot of people tuning into this. So at a state level, how do we spread this out across the state for a little bit equal access to businesses and opportunities for people taking advantage of outdoor recreation?
I can jump in first on that, Pitt. And we have a tremendous opportunity and potential for absorption. And East Zion or Zion National Park is a perfect example of that. And the park is looking at visitor management plan, but we have a huge opportunity, and there's we can expand, we can have more trails, more businesses, and we're seeing that across Kane County. I think we're seeing it across the state, and a large part of that is because of the outdoor recreation grant, and I think it's huge that Governor Cox recognizes the importance of outdoor recreation and has asked for $100 million for outdoor rec and trails in his budget, and we need to support him in that effort.
Thanks, Kelly. Any other thoughts on this? Of how we can spread the outdoor recreation business opportunities across the state?
I think
go ahead.
I think just building the economic opportunities, and trying to help some of these more rural communities diversify their economies. I know a lot of them, rely really heavily on outdoor recreation as their mainstay and as their big driver. They really rely heavily on tourism. And so one goal for this new administration and one goal for our office as well is helping provide opportunities and getting these communities in front of companies that can help diversify their economy. That'll just, strengthen their economy, make sure that they're resilient and they can continue to provide those opportunities and provide that development necessary to help these communities grow in a positive way. That will ultimately, attract more people, that will ultimately make them more prepared to accommodate that growth as more and more people come into the state to visit, as more and more people come into the state to live. And that's something I think we're going to see across the board is, these communities diversifying their economy, as well as getting a diverse set of new people coming there to live and a diverse set of people coming there to recreate.
I was just going to add to that, with the advent of the digital nomad and the remote workers, we're able to work from anywhere, and that goes hand in hand with outdoor recreation. Like I said earlier, we want to have things to do, and we've developed a really, our approach to it is I call it the 4-14-40 model. We're looking for trails development within 4 miles of town, within that are well defined, really well marked. Find them easily. They're anybody can go on them. All within 4 miles of the community. And I want Kanab and Kane County to become the destination. I want us to be a national park. And then we're concentrating on trails that are within 14 miles of town. They're a little more rugged. And then, of course, get out past 40 miles, and then you get your Buckskin Gulches and Wire Pass and some of the more remote, the Paria River, Glen Canyon, out some really great areas out there. And so that's been our approach to it, developing more product.
Thanks, Kelly. With that, let me give a plug for the Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant, which opens up next week for applications. So again, these are match grants to build outdoor recreation infrastructure across the state that our office administers. So just as Kelly's saying, build out that infrastructure, get people to come check out your new trails, your new bouldering areas, whatever it is you're developing and using this grant dollars for. And that will bring opportunities for business then to support those new visitors and support those people coming, or the people moving there because they absolutely love your trail system or your infrastructure that you have in place. So not a shameless plug from our office, but again, that opens up January 20th. So anybody that has an idea for developing some infrastructure, please take a look at our website and make sure you take advantage of that. So, all right, we're running out of time here. Don't log off yet because India is going to draw a name of somebody that participated in the chat to win a sweet prize and do that. But I just want to close before I hand this over to India and say, thank you for all of you for participating. Thank you for the great questions and interactions in the chat. It's great to see people chatting. Even in the virtual world, we're getting good conversations happening and networking happening here, which is the whole purpose of these meetings. So thank you so much for that. It's a holiday weekend. Everybody, if you don't have anything to do, go check out Joe's Valley, grab a drink at Cup of Joe's, and head out and explore the desert or get up on the ski slopes, whatever it is that you want to enjoy, but get outside this weekend and enjoy it. So with that, India, I'll pass it back to you to pick the winner.
Thanks so much, Pitt, and thank you to our speakers. Congratulations, Doug and Camie, on expanding next year and expanding every year. That since you've started, that's incredible. Also, I love the name. Just have to say that Cup of Joe's and Joe's Valley's amazing. And I've got my bowl here of names. Thank you, everyone who participated in the chat, like Pitt said. And Michaela Jordan, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Stay on the line, please, for just a moment. I will get your email address and follow up with you. Thank you again for everyone participating. Are there any last words from the panelists?
We just want to thank you for allowing us to be here. We really appreciate it and really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Come check out some of our trails. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.